Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello, and welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share all things aviation and King Airs taking off. My name is Ben, and I am a private or commercial pilot. I'm no longer a private pilot. Flying a Cessna 182, we like to call the Beast. I'm based out of the Metro Atlanta area, and joining me today is a lot of people, but the hosts of the most of the hosts, you, Brian, sitting to my right. Brian is a private pilot, tail wheel endorsed. He flies a Cherokee 180 we named Lucy. You named Lucy, I didn't name Lucy. He is in Nashville, home of the Bachelorette Super Charlie. Hello, sir.
I'm not there now.
No, but that's your home.
Hey, so incredible. We are here live at TAC Aero, Tango 82, live audience. This is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Also joining us, who is based on the left coast, our sport pilot extraordinaire, flying a CTLS pantless. The CTLS doesn't have pants.
Also,
Ted does have
CTLS.
pants. Yes.
Yes.
It's our friend Ted. Hello, sir.
Hey, it's so good to be here.
Yeah, this is blowing my mind, actually.
There are so many stories that are not going to make it anywhere. And there's so many stories that we're going to share. It's been great.
I think we have topics for months to come now after this weekend.
Right. Yeah.
But no, we're glad everybody's here. We've got a really nice crowd. And I believe we've got some folks in the chat as well that Ted will keep us posted on. But this is episode 127. And we've been talking about this for 5 months. And the time is finally here. And it's been absolutely incredible.
Well, so by the way, can you guys hear okay? Is everything good? Okay. Sorry about that. No, we cannot do this episode without just first, here's the thing, everybody here in the live audience, we're always having to think about the fact that 99% of the people that listen to this are not in the room or on the YouTube live stream. They're listening to it in their car or on their way to the airport or whatever. So Bo's over here just like, come on, move along. Okay. This is feedback we've never had during the podcast before. It's like people going like, stop talking. So the thing is that, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. We got a nice
Archer.
Archer.
For just some context setting here, we cannot go any further in this podcast without immediately talking about where we are and just trying to relay this to an audio only audience. We are in the middle of $79 million worth of aircraft.
Yes. With a floor that is so nice, we're taping down cords and thinking, wow, I can't afford this floor.
Yeah. The floor is nicer than the house that I live in for sure. Cleaner. But we are in the beautiful TAC Aero hangar here at Tango 82. And we're going to get right here and just say, thank you, Chris, and everybody at TAC Aero. By the way, we got stickers up here and we're going to give about 11 more shout outs to TAC Aero.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'll tell you guys this, when we got here on Wednesday, Ted and I got here on Wednesday, and I came down here and Chris was so gracious because it was sort of like, I don't know. I think I'm older than you, Chris, but you were sort of looking at me like, this kid. I was in heaven. This is heaven. This is Tailwheel Academy, all these planes, all of these beautiful things. I could not believe that a place like this exists. Nothing like this is around where I am. So
And that is a Waco.
That is a Waco, a 19,
Waco.
Is it 42?
1942 Waco that they
42.
actually use for training.
Yes.
And
they have museum planes that they use every day.
yes.
So this space, so gracious. Thank you. We've even got Trent Palmer's tail wheel training robot thing over here. We've got just a bunch of artifacts around. It's just the whole facility. This is, if you're going to do tail wheel training, I don't know why you would not come here. This is the place. They've got everything, and it's just a beautiful environment to fly. And these people know what they're doing. So anyway, I just wanted to shout that out. This space, we're in this giant hangar, all these beautiful planes. It is amazing. So thank you, TAC Aero.
Well, as the resident introvert, us walking down here, coming in, and they said, "Oh, we know who you are." Oh no. I do not like this.
Do not like this.
Yeah. There's so much here that I want to go fly that one. I want to go fly that one. I want to go fly. I mean, it's all of them. So maybe
And they wouldn't let us fly any of them.
and for good reason.
They were like, "That's really nice that you're interested."
Yes.
No, we asked to get checked out in this, was it Game Bird? Yeah. They didn't just invite us to get checked out.
I think it's important to mention. So not only can you come here and get your tail wheel rating, but they also do advanced training. So they can teach you landing backcountry. They have the Game Bird for upset recovery and spin training. And so it's not just tail wheel. This is tail wheel on steroids. It's amazing. So we're proud to be able to be in here. And
So I thought maybe you guys would get a kick out of this. We all had very unique adventures getting here, as you all did. And so we usually do the show in a format where we talk about our personal flying. And maybe you guys can relate to it. But I mean, I guess you can because you all got here somehow. Yeah. But why don't we get into to that? So Ben, I want to know about your adventure here, and you and Mark, our friend One Dull Geek here. By the way, thank you, Mark, for helping everything happen all the time. How did you guys, Ted and I came the day before, and we'll talk about that, but tell us about your trip getting here.
So it was pretty interesting. So Mark flew into Atlanta the night on Wednesday, and then we got up early Thursday morning with our friend who's sitting in front of us, Lord Alpha Juliet. I did a lot of weather research on this. I was looking at it like every 20 minutes, even though that the weather didn't update, I was still looking to see if it changed anyway, but it never did. And, it was looking a little iffy around Louisiana, a little like there was going to be a line coming through. But once we got through that, it should have been fine. The one thing I didn't look at was my home airport. So Mark and I are looking at it like we want to be at T82 as quickly as we can. Let's leave at 6:30 in the morning. And Lord Alpha Juliet comes to pick up. He's like, "Are you sure you want to leave that early? Are you sure you want to leave?" And we're like, "Yes, we want to get there early." We get in his car. We start driving there, and there is a light show right over the top of McCollum, my home base. It was just pouring down rain. So we stopped, had some breakfast, let it pass over. And then it was as forecasted. There was a squall line that went from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up into Tennessee. But on the southern end of it, it was starting to fade out. There were some gaps in there. And we're on IFR plans. Mark's behind me about 20 miles. I'm by myself. AJ is with Mark. And we're trying to find a gap. And I'm talking with the center controller, who was fantastic. She said, "I had 2 planes go through at this point in space." I said, "Yeah, I'm showing it on my FISB weather. It's looking green. I can do that. I've done that before." And so we're going through, I'm about halfway through, and the center controller calls me back and says, "How's the ride?" And I said, "It's actually pretty good. A little light chop here and there." She said, "Great." And that was the fatal flaw. 3 minutes later, and Lord Alpha Juliet was watching me. We were both at 6,000 feet. And he said, he watched our co-altitude, our relative to his altitude. I went up 400 feet, and then I went down 300 feet from his position, which I've been in that kind of turbulence before. It's not fun, I'll be honest with you. What was different this time is I was on a 270 heading, and when I stopped, I was on a 180 heading. It just turned me and just set me in this direction. And so that was a little disconcerting, but we got it straightened back out. We flew through and wisely These two guys went about 10 miles north to cut across where the storm wasn't, basically. But once we got through that, landed in REG, which is Louisiana Regional, and met up with our friend. He's in the jet. There he is, Virgil, Plain Places, in his Comanche. And great airport, great service. They had a line girl that was self-serve fuel, but she fueled for you. So that was awesome. Took off, and we were in the clouds pretty much the most time, and it was a little bumpy, but it wasn't terrible. It was funny. We were at 6,000 and Virgil was at 8,000 as Comanche, and he should have been landed by the time I got halfway there. Yeah. But the wind difference was so great between 8 and 6 that I was pacing him. And then he said, oh no, I can't have this. So he dropped down to 6 and then just took right off. But uneventful flight after that. We came in here, landed, didn't dent the runway. It was fine.
No parts left behind.
No parts left. The plane's not bent. We can use it again.
Okay. Hey, so by the way, so tell me about how it was flying in tandem with our friend One Dull Geek, because I was confused. I wanted to know, I'm watching you guys on FlightAware. Ben's in a 182, Mark's in a 235. Mm-hmm. How is this going to pace? So were you just in slow flight the whole time, or what were you doing?
No, I was in slow flight going through the storms. That's about the only time. I had that throttle pulled back pretty far, but no, it was go at your own pace, and I got a little bit ahead of him. He was heavier though.
Mark's like, I have things to say.
Also his plane was heavy.
Yeah. So no, and of course Virgil didn't wait for me either. He landed 30 minutes before me. So, in this business of aviation, there's always going to be somebody faster. There's always going to be somebody slower. So yeah, no, it was good. It was a great flight. Land here. Everybody's awesome. So,
well, slow. That's a great segue to talk about my flight here. So our buddy Luke from Luke's Landing, the YouTube channel that I always say is famous for the one landing that's on it, but Luke's Landing, it sounds like an 80s drama. So Luke and I left Nashville Wednesday morning to beat this weather because we're specialists in what's called VFR flying. And it's kind of our area of focus.
It's advanced VFR flying.
Advanced VFR flying. So advanced VFR flying means leave the day before.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did that. We left Nashville, but so by the way, my airplane was in annual pretty close up to this trip in a way that I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not, but I had enough time to shake it down and make sure everything was good. But our friend Keith, oh yeah, there you are, Keith. Our friend Keith has a Technum. This is what you get for having an Italian airplane. It's like the Fiat of aviation.
Parts only come from one place, and it's not in the U.S.
Yeah, Keith is like, a few days before he had been like telling us what was going on with his annual not getting done in time, even though our planes both went in annual in early March. I came out before his did, and then he needed a ride. Of course, we're going to come get him. So we flew from Nashville to North Little Rock, and 2 hours into it, well, we started off with, hope and ambition. 8,500 feet, clear blue. This is great.
Isn't that how all flights start out? Hope and ambition.
I mean, we knew that something was going to change.
Yeah.
Well, flights start out with hope, which will come up later.
That's right. Yeah. Hope is a theme.
Yes.
So then as we got closer to Little Rock, somebody was turning the dimmer down on the day.
The Waco's coming through.
There goes our Waco. And by the time we were about an hour outside of Little Rock, we were, what do you call it? Scud running, 1,000 feet. I said to Luke, I said, just think of it as that this is a tail wheel and that we are just doing some low country flying.
Hey, for the record, that would be 4 drinks so far, please.
Right.
4 drinks. Yeah, tail wheel drinks. So, but I do want to say that it was measured scud running. Everything was happening the way we thought it was going to happen. And that area out there, you can land everywhere. And so felt good about it. But I also know that I don't know about you guys, but when I'm on these long trips, I know that I've got loved ones watching me on FlightAware, and then in this case, Keith, Keith, you're a loved one. We'll call, but
I knew he spends that much time in the airplane with you.
But you ever have those moments where you're in the plane and you just think, if whoever's watching right now is not going to understand what's happening right now, there's going to be questions. And I have the Avionics tail beacon that is basically the worst possible ADS-B out solution in the universe.
Technically, it qualifies as ADS-B.
Yeah, but my wife does not understand how. She's like, "Why do you keep doing 180-degree turns?" And I'm like, "I'm not. It's just what it says." But anyway, got into North Little Rock. It was fine, but it was definitely getting a little marginal. It was definitely marginal when we got in there. Was glad to see you, Keith. And I think you were glad to see us because you were watching us on FlightAware. Yeah. Like, why are they?
Early descent.
Early descent.
50 miles out, 1,000 feet already.
Yeah. ForeFlight had already said my descent to destination is 25 feet.
Negative 4 feet per mile.
Yeah.
He was at pattern altitude, 70 miles out.
Yeah. So I definitely had ATC a few times, just go, hey, so how is that maneuvering going that you're doing over there? So I just basically told him I passed my check ride and I'm just so we got into North Little Rock. It was great. And then picked up Keith. And then it was great. Actually, I don't know how many of you guys have really taken your plane to sort of max gross and put a bunch of heavy stuff in it and done the calculations properly and then been satisfied to know that it worked. You do all these things to go, okay, I want this to work. So I want it to be favorable and in my work to my agenda here. So I want those numbers to be accurate, but you're also going POH 1967.
Yes.
Airplane 1967. What is the margin here? We had very clear debrief about what was going to have to happen or not happen for us to get out of here, but we went ahead and topped off and had a whole plane packed to the gills full of all this gear and all this other stuff. And man, it just did great. It was so satisfying to get out of there and have full fuel. Went 3 hours, got into Longview, had a 40 to 50 knot headwind the whole trip. And so we were able to go forward, which is good. That felt like an accomplishment. We were not going backward. But
I think there were some Chevy Impalas making better time than you were.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then you would think that, we should go higher or we should go lower or, but it was just, there was nowhere to go.
Can't get away.
It was 40 knots at, 2,000 feet or whatever. So, but we got into Longview and had a, 40 knot headwind on short final.
Is that 10 miles?
Yeah. And then we airspeed, I usually come over the numbers about 70 knots. Coming over the numbers about 95, 100 knots. And it felt like we were going nowhere. Our ground speed was, 40 or something.
Right.
And, landed, very interesting FBO, which we've talked about to some of you guys. Go check out Golf, but just, the coffee machine's great. It's just,
Please send pictures if you go to Golf.
Yes.
Because Brian forgot, and
it's the only FBO I've been to where the stairs were leopard print. For whatever that's worth. Anyway, same kind of flight all the way down here. We just went around the weather. I mean, and I kind of wanted to backtrack to say thank you guys all for being so patient and smart about all of your own journeys and utilizing the communal knowledge and everything, because we've all been working with the weather and trying to figure this out. And we had some rough, weird storms to deal with, and we figured it out. I mean, right now we're sitting here and it's perfect, clear blue.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry we didn't plan this whole thing on a 2-day delay. But yeah, I mean, everybody had to work through it, and I'm just happy to see that everybody made really good decisions, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, so we got here fine. And Ted was on his way in at the same time.
Yeah.
He's coming from the Northwest, and I'm thinking, how is a light sport just murdering me on airspeed? How is he beating us?
I am blessed with tailwinds.
Yeah.
So I actually took a screenshot of the FlightAware.
Yes.
And the egg was doing 150 miles an hour over the ground.
158 knots.
Or 158 knots. That's right.
Knots.
And Brian was doing like 68.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, what universe is this?
Yeah.
So you flew the reverse Oregon Trail dysentery trail. Yeah.
Dysentery edition. Yeah.
Dysentery edition. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's beyond a Gatorade bottle, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So I have been doing a lot of scenario planning on the various parts of the trip. And when I say that, I mean, there is too much planning for me to figure out how I am leaving here. So just getting here was a lot of work. And I had a couple of concerns. The one is getting out of Portland. Second is getting over the Rockies. Wasn't concerned about the rest mostly. Getting out of Portland, I thought, okay, well, instead of leaving Wednesday morning, I need to leave Tuesday because Wednesday is like a low IFR, like most of the day. And I have to leave in the morning if I'm going to be able to make it here by Thursday night. Let's not put ourselves in a position where you're either leaving at 8 a.m. or you're not leaving. So I thought, great, I'm going to leave the night before. I just need to get 100 miles away and I'll be fine. And as I started planning more and seeing the fronts that were coming through, I realized I need to get as far as possible Tuesday to kind of thread the needle on the fronts. And I went through, I don't know if it was the same front twice, but I went through, definitely some low cloud to places. But first day was Portland, which was socked in, got 8 miles away and went from 700 feet to 7,500 feet. It was like, goes from these clouds to, there is blue sky right there. Let's go. Let's get up there. Had a great time, great tailwinds, getting through there. And so I went through, my normal trip, which is, Portland out to Boise, down to Salt Lake, get gas in Salt Lake. And my thought is, I need to be in the Rockies as early as possible. Oh, why I'm in the Rockies? The preferred route was my airmail route, right? Which is this arc that goes over Wyoming.
Tell them the logic, by the way, of the airmail route.
The airmail route is these planes flew VFR 100 years ago with low power, and we're all looking out of the plane.
Yeah.
They flew 100 years ago with low power, and they can't climb. This route is safe at 8,000 feet. There's clearance for it. So that was my initial plan, was that route. The whole day, that next day of, what day is it which? Of Wednesday, it was going to be low IFR the whole way on that path. Okay, great. My first option is out. Okay, but what I really wanted to do and thought there was no way was to go up and over the Rockies. Can't do that if there's any wind. It was like 2 to 4 knot winds everywhere. I was like, this is amazing. So what I did is I got up, I went to Spanish Fork, Mike Patey, turned from there, went up into the mountains and stayed in a hotel at Vernal. Yeah.
That's like a Portland thing. That's a Portland thing. You would actually, in Portland, people pay to camp in a hotel.
Yeah. They get in their room and they set up a tent inside the room. And
yeah, so went to Vernal, Utah, which is all oil and dinosaurs. It's very strange.
Related.
Yes. Spent the night there. And that's already like, I've already gone up 12,000 feet and back down to get to there. And that sets me up so that next morning I can leave before light so that I am in the Rockies as soon as possible. There's the least amount of wind early in the morning. Great. I can get half an hour away as the sun's coming up before I really have to start climbing and worrying about terrain and everything else. So did this nice little weave through the mountains and out Rollins Pass into Denver. I knew I needed to be at about 12.5 to clear that. And I'm just doing this from memory. That's the altitude. Yeah, I'm getting a head nod over here from a Colorado person. And I thought, well, I need 12.5, but I've got oxygen. And finally, as a sport pilot, I could legally fly higher. Let's go. So I ended up at 15, coming up and over that pass, and which is got Waco there, which is quite the accomplishment to hit 15. It feels really good.
Is that the highest you've been in that plane?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
I'd been at like 13 and change before, but we opened the POH, and it's like, oh, you can get to 13, maybe 13.7, you know. I was like, okay, well, that worked out well.
Your POH has words like maybe.
Well, it says it full gross, but it says it in almost German.
It's suggested.
Yeah. It's also for a previous engine that struggles at altitude, and I've got the fuel injected that does much better. So yeah, I was so happy. I was getting a great tailwind, get just over the edge of the Rockies, because once you hit Denver, it's basically just a wall. It just goes straight down from there. And so that 12.5 down to 5, where 10 miles away for the airports. And I'm like, great, 38 knots. That's when you saw 158 knot ground speed. I'm like, this is fun. I'm like, but I've done enough Rockies flying. I know the problem with this. I'm in the area where the turbulence is going to be. I started to descend and started getting thrown around. And it's like, all right, instead of going roughly north to Longmont from there, I'm going east. I'm just pointing in toward Denver until things settle down, and I'm going to stay up high. And I did. It, always took about 10 miles away before things kind of settled down. And then it's like, okay, great. I'm 20 miles away. I'm 10,000 feet high. Okay. I have some options here. First of all, there's no non-pilot passengers with me, so I can descend a little faster. I'm going to descend faster, and I'm just going to keep flying past the airport. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to spiral. I'm not going to, just going to keep flying. Turn around, come back. Yeah.
Was this the mother of all slips?
10,000 feet slip. Yeah. No, this was just point it forward and pull the throttle back and stay under that true airspeed. So yeah, did that, dropped down into Denver, got my fuel there. And, from there are not a lot of options for MoGas to get to here. I'm fine if I have to get low lead, but I'm going to avoid it if possible.
You're like, I'm going to go into a thunderstorm.
No. You're not fine to get it, because you went a long way out of your way to get it.
So I went to Waco, which is 100 miles from here. And everyone's looking at the track and like, where's he going?
Yeah, that's true.
And why is he going there? And
towards a storm.
It must be for fuel. So as I'm going there and I'm watching this massive storm, right? It's Mexico to Canada, just the line. And on flight following, and you're hearing stress out controllers putting everybody in holds and say, no, if that hold's full, you need to go further away. And say, okay, great. I'm here. But I texted Ben, who hadn't left yet, who's dying because he's got a meeting still to do. And I'm like, help. Can I go behind a thunderstorm? I'm seeing VFR airports just above that IFR airports. But the storm is continuing to head that way. So finally hear back from Ben, and I'm also thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the next airport that's VFR. If there are no more airports that are VFR, I'm stopping. We go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And made it to Waco that way. So nice. It was kind of this A shape of storms, and Waco is right there in the middle. So you kind of sneak on into it, and nobody else there, strangely enough.
Did you get any satisfaction after you left Waco to see us both traveling and realize that you were just wasting me?
So here's the wild thing. I leave Waco, and there might be stories behind that. I leave Waco, and to avoid the SpaceX TFR and to avoid the military space, you kind of have to go southeast and then cut back southwest and west. So I'm kind of headed away from it. But as I do that and I get up, I pop on ForeFlight and I see that Brian is up and in the area. Like, this is wild. We're 50 miles away and we're on an intercept
with no coordination. No coordination. Yeah, it just happened to be this way.
So I
I thought you were stalking.
Yeah. So I sent a screenshot. Well, how did I get on this podcast? Yeah. So I texted a screenshot over to them. And I said, all right, I'm going to keep going. And I got dumped at 3,000 feet off flight following. I'm like, well, so much for flight following the entire way. So I'm off flight following at that point, and I just start listening to Austin. And I know that at some point that Brian's going to pop up on Austin. He's got to be with someone else. And I'm just listening for that approach. And I'm a little bit further away from him. I'm 25 miles, and I'm a little bit on the north side of Brian. And so I hear him check in with Austin. And so I come on immediately after, because I want Brian to know that I know he's there. And I come on immediately after, and they're like, where are you? And I tell him, like, oh no, you need to talk to Houston. It's like, I got hung up on by Austin. So didn't get to hang out with him on frequency.
But we got in within 10 minutes of each other. That's the point of the story.
Not 10 minutes. I overflew the airport, went outside the pattern and came back, and Brian was here.
Oh, that was actually the part, because we were, Keith and Luke and I were like, how is he going to beat us?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then when you came in to overfly the grass to check it out, I was like, this is our chance. We're going to win.
Yeah. So I was watching your ADSB track.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking only Ted would fly 8 hours and then to the rival airport, go do laps in the pattern to practice it.
Yeah. So I got here. There were a couple other planes around, and I went and did a teardrop on the far side because I was descending out of it. And
that's not real.
Sorry. Hit us up in the comments. Did the teardrop, whatever, on the far side, came into the pattern, choosing my spot with the planes. I think you're already on frequency by then. And I come down and I do what I expect to do, which is I'm going to do a low approach. I'm going to see what this grass looks like. And it looks okay. It's right next to the runway. Like, if you're not careful, you're going to hit the runway lights. So I looked at that and I went back up into the pattern. And by that point, Brian's in front of me. That's how close we were. One pass on the runway and Brian's already in the pattern.
Well, it was awesome. By the way, shout out for you, or to you, for being because people see sport pilot as so reductive and like it's not totally. We're just gonna prop strike or something over there. Hit a sign.
Oh my! The Waco out there just hit a sign. It sounded like boom. This thing.
The Waco.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
I went to Waco. The plane is Waco.
Well, so shout out to you, Ted, for taking sport pilot privileges to the absolute max.
Thanks.
And I appreciate you doing all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I came in behind Brian, and then Brian decided he doesn't want to touch his brakes at all. It's going to roll to the far end of the runway.
That's right.
And so I
wanted to make you go around.
Well, I was sitting behind him. I wondered, is he doing this intentionally? This nice, slow, taxi down the runway. And apparently no, but I decided, I'm just going to go around. That's fine. So,
all right,
two go arounds, then drop back into the airport, landed on grass for my, first experience being at Tango 82. Why hit pavement when you've got grass? So, it was fun.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So thanks for enduring our recaps of our flying, but I just want to do our normal read through of the things that we, the belly scrub. Hopefully whatever went on over there is okay. It's not okay?
Take a picture.
What just happened? Prop strike?
It's curled? Wow.
Oh.
Hey,
that's going to leave a mark.
Yeah.
For those listening, we just unfortunately witnessed a beautiful 1942 restoration Waco have a prop strike.
Oh man.
Oh.
So, belly scrubbing.
So that brings us to our next segue, which is, hey, thank you all for making our Patreon community the best community. This is the best pilot community that I know of. And it's a positive space where we share everything from training experiences, shared personal minimums, tackle ownership challenges, watch prop strikes, review flight plans, and best of all, make new aviation friends. And so I hopefully some of the people here have made some new friends.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, friends. So to join our Friends with Benefits program.
That was AJ knocking on my door last night when I'm in the shower.
He brought beer.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon community for $1 a month or do the one-time annual Patreon, 25 cents per episode. Access exclusive content, including check ride debriefs, killing zone conversations, and more with our Discord. By the way, congratulations to Flint on your check ride, and appreciate you doing a debrief.
And making it here.
And thank you, Mark, for championing and captaining all of these debriefs that we have on our for our Patreon audience. It is And Ben, I know you say this all the time, but it's immensely valuable, even if you already have that rating, to go back. I mean, everybody has something you can learn from any sort of a check ride. And so for our Patreon community to sort of offer themselves to say, I'm going to talk about this for an hour and break it all down while it's fresh is massive.
Yes.
It's so, I don't know anywhere else on the interwebs that you can go and get that kind of an honest, thoughtful check ride debrief over all the different ratings. And each one is different.
Yep.
So really, really cool. And so 10% of our Patreon supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. Check them out, freedomavationnetwork.org. Become a pilot for them. It's a great organization. You can watch us live on YouTube Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern, or sometimes in Texas at weird times. Share your stories, Midlife Pilot Podcast at gmail.com. We read all the messages. You might hear yours on the show. And for everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, community feedback, merch, and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com.
So this week, instead of announcing new Patreon members, Ted, I think we should maybe do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I want to thank everyone who came out, all our supporters.
Yes,
this audience
you guys.
is just amazing.
Very much so. You're the guys that keep this going. We'd all be broke paying for everything. So it really does help. And we're very thankful.
But we've also got to thank and recognize some people who made correct decisions and helped out in other ways. The first I want to talk about is Erica. We were all in the air, on the road, whatever you want to call it. And Erica put on 2 debriefs. They're not recorded because
Weather debriefs.
weather debriefs.
Yeah.
To help with the planning of this. We can't watch them. We can't record them because we're not even there. Just the community. And I saw on the first one, just how many people were in it. So fantastic. We love Erica.
And all the follow-up questions too. So she was doing weather debriefs, CFII level weather expertise debriefs for our patrons that are gearing up to come to this trip or halfway through the trip and trying to figure out how to get around what was going on. And these debriefs, she did one, got so many follow-up questions that she did another. Mm-hmm. This is somebody that didn't have to do any of that.
That's right.
Also want to recognize Richard, Yankee 88, for being here.
Richard
flew his tri-pacer down.
Richard, you're like the hero, man, of this whole thing. You are.
So Richard flew his tri-pacer through lots of weather from Michigan to New Orleans and decided that was the safest place to leave the plane, and then drove a rental car from here.
Smart decisions.
Congrats on the go and the no-go.
Yes.
That's exactly right. And that's part of the adventure is you have to get somewhere, and sometimes you just have to rent a car, and that's part of the fun of it. So, but we applaud that. And you kind of became celebrity status with all those video updates. I really enjoyed that, and we appreciate you sharing that with the community.
So congratulations on not flying here.
Yes.
That's as big of an accomplishment as flying here.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yep.
Let's also shout out Mike Alpha Golf, who has a club plane, and he's a relatively newer flyer, and he decided probably not the best idea for me to go through the same New Orleans to Tango 82 stuff. And he's not here. And congratulations on making that decision.
Yes. So. You're here with us because we're talking about you, Mike Alpha Golf. And also, he was sending pictures of, he's got his bags all packed. You're seeing everything like ready to go. I mean, the whole plane, like everything is ready to go. And when you have fly-ins or meetups or things, it's one thing to be on your own with a family trip. It's another thing when it's like kind of an event or a gathering and you just want to be a part of it and you've planned on it. And, he's a pretty busy guy, and to make that time to have everything fully packed. And, here's the thing too, is that all of us could sit there and go, I wonder if he could have made it. Maybe if he, and it's like irrelevant.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Because he made that decision and it was the right decision. And we wish you were here, Mike Alpha Golf, but we're glad also that you're not, for the reasons that we want to shout you out for.
And final one for this segment. Ben, do you want to tell us about Lewis?
So Lewis made a really big decision. First of all, congratulations on 900 hours.
Yes.
That's a heck of an accomplishment.
900 is great.
That's fantastic. Lewis is the proud new owner of Carbon Cub, NX, and he really, really wanted to fly it here. And Lewis is a very accomplished instrument pilot, and his plane is instrument rated. What makes this special is he doesn't have a lot of time in that Carbon Cub, and he's not willing to put him and his passengers at any risk for flying for flying a plane he's not that familiar with.
But totally capable.
Completely capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he made the smart decision to bring a Cirrus over and fly that, and because he knows it inside and out. It's more of, if I'm flying a new plane to me, I am not going to take any additional risk, and that's, I think, something people look over.
And on one hand, I want to uphold you, Lewis, for doing that. On the other, I'm wondering how much of a sacrifice is it that he flew the one with air conditioning? I chose the air conditioning plane.
He's got a shiny new toy that he really likes.
That's right.
And listen, I feel his pain. I do.
No, I mean, we talked about this so many times, and you were just like, I can't wait. We're gonna connect up at Tango 82, and I'm gonna take you out in this new plane to me, and or new plane all together. And I know you wanted to do that, but you had the wisdom to not do that. As much as that would have been great, and as much as you totally probably could have, right? I mean, you chose. Yeah.
Again, you could have. That's not the issue. The issue is you chose not to.
Yeah.
That's what's great.
So thank you for that. But at the same time, great. Now I haven't seen the plane.
Great example for the community.
I just can't even imagine what a Carbon Cub looks like. I just have no idea.
Yeah. Does anybody have a picture of one that maybe they could show us?
Yeah.
What are these Carbon Cubs they're talking about?
This blue screen is fantastic behind us.
Yeah. So anybody else we need to shout out, Ted?
Not for now. We're going to get some more later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, honestly, just again, shout out to everybody for being here, because everybody made good or hard decisions to get here. And especially those that are the spouses.
Shout out to the spouses
of people that are pilot addicted people that said, I'm going to trust you, and we're going to go to this thing that I will be somewhat interested in, but not totally. Thank you for making all that happen, because it means a lot when you have a partnership with somebody that supports you enough to go along with it, when sometimes it's, I'm so glad we're here. It's storming. This is great. Last night we're at the Tiki Bar, and it's like, as long as you were in close enough to the roof, your ankles weren't getting soaked, So it was great.
Yeah.
So today, it feels like night. I'm still on East Coast time. Sorry.
Close enough. Yeah.
Brian, why don't you lead us in? We wanted to talk about the aviation friends you make. And, this is our 5th time we've done this. And, there's always new people that are showing up. And it feels like you're meeting family for the first time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Except you like them.
We like them. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And you don't have to spend every waking hour with them. So
isn't that funny how all of us were children at some point, and you have no control over what's happening?
That's right.
And then every holiday is just another unveiling of wait, this is also my family?
Yeah.
Like, how many more people that are super weird do I have to meet?
But let's talk a little bit about setting up this fly-in.
Yes.
And the community that it recreates. And
yes. Well, okay. Ooh, we talk a lot. We've definitely spent time talking about the merits of cross-country trips and all the decision-making, like the things we were just talking about. I think that there's another level of thought and consideration and pressures and a lot of associated things that comes to meeting up, fly-ins, community gatherings. And I think that presents a whole other set of things that we have to think about. And that's why we are just leading so hard with, thank you to all the people that chose not to be here today. That didn't sound right. But the point is just that when you're planning these kind of things, on the planning side of it, we want to make it as easy as possible. We want to give a destination that has resources and all that, which, by the way, this place, Hangar Hotel, the diner, TAC Aero, all the town is 5 minutes away. It's beautiful. we 5 minutes into landing here, I thought we got to do this again. And I hadn't even experienced any of it yet.
Yeah.
But when everybody, you know, we have times where you and I will go and meet up at Sewanee or whatever, or you know, there's every meetup is not like a big fly-in or some huge thing. And so to have like, even just when you're going to go out and meet 5 pilots or 3 pilots on a Saturday to do something, I just wanted to just speak to again, sort of the get there-itis, the expectation, we are midlife pilots. We never actually have to fly anywhere ever, except for this Sunday because we don't have hotels anymore.
Well, we have to fly somewhere, just not here.
But you can't stay here.
Right. You don't have to go home. You can't stay here.
Yeah.
So and part of that is, you know, we purposely don't charge for this. We don't want any responsibility for adding one more layer of get there-itis to it.
Yeah.
But it still would weigh heavily on our minds if somebody did make a bad decision and feeling like we may had some part in having pressure built there. And the fact that we have all these people that didn't make the decision, or they made the decision not to come.
Yeah.
That warms my heart. It's very reassuring.
It would be very easy to sit here and just not even talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're sitting here, you know, or after the fact, just missing it. It's like, no, as not instructors, what we can add is value on maybe a more sort of emotive level or just communal level. And it's like, man, you guys are doing the right things. Kudos to you, because there's not enough celebration of all that in the community.
Right. So
it's awesome. I'm super pleased. Now, on the other side of things, you're missing out.
So, but
this is amazing.
You made the wrong decision.
Let's play the other side of this whole coin now. No.
Yeah. Part of it is like our friend Nate, Cheapskate Nate. I've talked with him several times. Seeing him in person the first time is just fantastic. I've got new friends. It's amazing. But outside of our community, when you land here and you come to this place, there is such an effort to make you feel welcome. And the things that they do, there's a citation going through, but taking off. Only the loud planes start when I get ready to speak. No. So here's an example. The FBO, the hotel, everybody goes so far out of the way to make you feel welcome. And I'll give you an example. Thursday night, we decided to go to the brewery. And we knew some storm systems were coming in. We were tied down on the apron. And we're all sitting there, and my phone rings, and there's a Fredericksburg caller ID on there. And I answer it, and it's the manager at the FBO. She said, well, there's some storms coming in. Would you like for us to move your airplanes in a hangar?
Yeah.
Who reaches out to somebody to say, hey, we can store your hangar for you to get it out of the storm?
Yeah.
And here you are with like a beer, like, yeah, you can move my plane to a hangar.
Yeah.
You can take it for a flight. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's exactly how it was. You do such a good impression. But no,
I don't care.
Yeah. How's your mom or them? No, but seriously, they called us and said, we're like, yeah, of course. No, they're probably going to charge us $300 a night for hangar fees, but no, I'm teasing. I don't know what but there's a level of service here that I've not seen before.
Yeah.
The hotel, when we were setting this up and setting up the block rates, they're like, if they have to cancel, it can be within 24 hours. They're not going to charge you because they know that they don't want to put the pressure on you to fly in questionable weather.
Which is closer than their written policy. It's like basically for pilots, they'll do a lot more.
That's right.
Than with written.
And also, look, the midlife pilot thing is not ours. It is all of us. Feel free to have your own midlife pilot, quote unquote, gatherings in your areas or whatever, but just continue to follow the ethos of what we've been sort of doing here, which is like, go where the water is flowing, go where there's resources, have a good time. Don't freak out if you can't get there. So that, I mean, I think that's, honestly, if you go to a meetup where we are not there, then you don't have to hear us talk.
Yeah. Which sounds a lot more appealing, actually.
I've got to say, with the resources here, we didn't know for sure what when we were planning this, it's a lot easier for us to plan things near Nashville or in the Midwest, where we know a lot of pilots, we know airports and everything else. Coming to Texas is new, and we have a great Texas contingent in our audience now, which is fairly new to have the region represented. And but so coming out here, we had people in our crew helping us with pyreps on what the airport was like, what the people were like, prepping TAC Aero to tell them that we're coming. And so you kind of hope for some of this when you leave, but you don't know until you land how it's going to be.
Right.
And yeah.
So can we shift gears to the most fun part of this?
Please.
Yes.
We are going to do a game show. Okay, that's not true.
Is this live heads up?
Oh,
It's so our friend Luke over here is sitting there with this taped together wireless microphone that is from Radio Shack. It also sounds exactly like a microphone that is taped together from Radio Shack. So bear with us. But what we wanted to do is the one thing we can't ever do when we are on the interwebs as talking heads in a Brady Bunch format is, I thought what would be great to talk about here and get your input on is to share with the group and the live stream. No pressure. You sign a release form. Lewis, I know you want to talk a lot. So we'll get you on for sure. You can promote, whatever you're looking at there. What?
There's one more shout out that I just realized.
Okay, go ahead.
We did forget.
Oh, well, no, we're going to get to it.
Okay.
We got more.
You're talking about a place called Hope?
That too, but this, hey, right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, yes. Okay, all right. You guys start thinking about this, but we're going to start bringing the mic to you guys, and we want you to share any tales, thoughts, feelings, concerns, complaints? No, around just what it means to you to be a midlife pilot and why it is that you got here, and we want to hear from you. So before we do that, a couple of shout outs. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, and before that. For those that got a little excited when he said tails, that does not count as tail wheel taking a drink.
Drink.
So we have a member of our community, not computer, computer. He may be part of a computer.
Icing on the vegetable.
Actually, he's sitting in the front row. It's our friend Barry from Checkmate. He graciously offered to provide checklists for anybody wanting to come here. I also want to point out that he's got new T-shirts. I'm sporting one right now. And the best one that I've seen yet that I wore too much and it really got kind of smelly, so I didn't bring it. But it's the emergency checklist, and the checklist is upside down so the pilot can read it. Those are available at his website.
Well, by the way, but what did Barry do for the people here?
That he offered them a free checklist. Was it free?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Barry's testing out new products. He's taken over Checkmate Aviation, and people, I think, participated in that program that you put together. So they're properly prepared. So
thanks.
If you got a Checkmate checklist from Barry, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if Barry.
Yeah. There's
Barry, do you want to get on our Radio Shack microphone for a minute? Do you have anything to say about this?
But I've got to say, you haven't heard, Ben almost said it on the show once, but you haven't heard about giving away checklists because this was not a promotional thing.
No.
This is a safety thing. And we didn't want to encourage people to fly here that might not have otherwise.
And Barry came to us as like, he feels like he's gotten a lot out of this community, and this is his way to give back. So
absolutely. Yeah. I was part of the community well before Checkmate was even in the orbit of reality. So as this was coming together, I felt it was a perfect opportunity to put new product into testing in Midlife Pilot's hands, and reached out to the community through Brian and Ben and Ted and said, hey, I will be a sponsor of this event so that our coming can reach out to me, get a checklist made for their aircraft, bespoke to their avionics, their tail number, their flying area. And it wasn't something that I wanted to be an incentive to sign up to fly, but those that had signed up to fly would benefit from this as a safety option.
Yeah.
So those that have taken advantage of it, thank you for being a part of it. It's been fun working with each of you individually and collectively, and it's making the products that better for future pilots as well.
And are there large print editions for midlifers?
You can get the entire ceiling of your aircraft as the checklist.
So no, thank you. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you as well.
We need a couple comments before we go on. Michael Gillette said, shout out to the hotel. They canceled my room and were absolutely no fuss about it. Rescue Rat said, I really wanted to be there. What hurts most is I was within mere miles. On the upside, the Raffle 140 that he won.
What was that? Wait, say that again? The last part?
On the upside, the Raffle 140 is finally home in Vegas, and I'm now tail wheel endorsed.
The Raffle 140.
Yep.
So congrats. He's had the plane and he's needed to get it home and needed to get his endorsement to be able to fly it. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And RH, our friend from Opposing Bases, says, I really like you guys congratulating the no-go crowd. Seriously. So thanks all.
So if he's not here, can we just congratulate him, or we'll call RH the no-go crowd?
Yeah. No, he's in a hotel in Porto, Portugal, so he's going to be doing okay.
Fair enough.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, also really quickly, I know you guys are curious. Did you guys notice that
is it time to talk about hope?
But it's like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell thing, right? Like you got to start with okay, hold on. This is a transformational tale. Did you guys notice how the runway got shut down here for 20, 30 minutes today?
So we are talking about Hope. Hope works at the Hangar Hotel. Super friendly.
Did lots of extra things for us.
Yep. Lots and lots.
Days.
And
super nice.
Ted rewards her with the flight and the egg.
Yeah.
She said she had only been up one other time and she didn't have necessarily the best experience. And she had said, do you think one of these folks would take me up? And I was like, every single person.
It would, yeah. They will fight to take you up.
Yeah, good luck finding somebody that's like,
Yeah. And then she also said she was an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Said she wanted to do some wing walking and some other adrenaline rush. So Ted.
Yeah. What's the closest thing to wing walking? Flying in a CTLS.
Yeah. So we went up. We went up to do some pattern work, and there was a line of 2 other people behind her to fly with me. And we go to do our initial takeoff, and the winds got a little sporty, and I was a little distracted. And then that's fine. We're in, little bumpy of a takeoff, and we're in the air. And I come back around to land. It's like, there's something at the 1,000-foot markers on the runway. Is that a skunk? A bird? What is that? So we come down a little bit, and it's like, oh, I know what those are. Those are my Wheelpants. So I spent a little time radioing, trying to there's a big event going on here besides us. And so let me change the screen there. I finally get a hold of someone to come out, and I'm like, there's FOD on the runway, help out. Thankfully, the pattern had been busy earlier and there's nobody else around then. So I just circled the end of the runway, kind of watching it and listening for other people coming in. And
did you know it was your Wheelpants already?
I did. Once
once you looked out the window and saw your rubber.
I just envisioned you being like, what's the idiot that has all this?
Yeah. The calls coming from inside the.
So I have a question for you. How did you explain this to Hope while she's in the plane with you? Is this something that happens all the time, or
exactly?
No need to
Hope
panic?
Is your middle name Reality?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, she was fine with it. Wanted to make sure, kind of wondering if she was going to die or not, and what the risk level was of that. So like, okay, it's gonna be fine. I don't tell her that my other concern is, Did one of the tires roll over the bead on the rim?
I think I need to interrupt you one more time. I think we need to have a moment of silence for the vent prop.
We haven't.
It's gone now. Okay, we can continue.
Yeah. But speaking of moment of silence, the crew gets out there, and the county management here, and they said, yeah, we're clearing off the bird too. The bird?
The bird.
So it turns out that is how the Wheelpants met the end of their life. And
the kamikaze birds in Texas.
Yeah. So the entire time the runway's shut down and the ramp is full of people from town and seeing the classic car show and everything else. I'm just circling to the end of the runway, watching it and waiting for other traffic to come in. And finally, one other person comes in. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to land right now. And but it didn't take him much longer than that. I think the guy made 360 and that was his turn to land. But so I did a low approach. They watched. I'm like, well, you're still on the runway. Why don't you just look up at my tires?
You got to see the photograph that Luke has of your low approach where we were looking at your gear.
Yeah. So
it's like he can zoom into that photo and it's just your face, just like looking out of the passenger side, like you can't really even see anything, but it's just your eyebrows are like this. It's so good. It's like we're gonna make posters, limited edition posters of just like it's like a racer head. But yeah.
I have another question for Ted. How many seats are in your plane?
2.
How is it that you have given rides to 130 people in the last 2 days?
Yes.
You've literally, 30 people?
About 6.
Oh, you done more than said.
But it's because the weather got bad yesterday. So
my point.
I would have done more.
People were disappointed that wanted to ride.
Of course,
with me.
like the guy that flies here from Portland flies 8 hours of pattern work each day, the whole day that we're here.
So it stands to reason that the number of landings that you've done, it was only a matter of time before a bird dived into your wheelpants.
Suicidal Sparrow.
So it was only a matter of time.
That's a good band name.
So speaking of TAC Aero and helping us out and everything else, I walked down here. Well, I walked past the FBO and they can't help me. So it's Saturday, late Saturday. I walked down here. I'm like, do you have any mechanics still around? And Ian says, no, but let me text them. And sure enough, by the time I walk back up to my plane, a mechanic is home, drives back in to look at it and help me out. And
TAC Aero coming through again.
I know.
No, that was
taught me a zip tie trick, which is really cool. It's called a zip tie standoff. And, so I needed the real problem.
Wait, no. You can't. What's the zip tie standoff?
So the landing gear, the leg, as it comes down, it's flat in the carbon fiber, and you need to have the brake line run down the end of the carbon fiber, or kind of on the end of the flat part.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Just zip tie it tight to the and restrict the flow? No. So it's a way of using a zip tie. So it's almost like
a link.
It's almost like a figure 8.
Okay.
I thought it was a link. That was what I was going to do, but it's a single zip tie that goes along and then a second one that goes over it. And so it just creates like this hourglass that it sits in.
So it protects it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
This is the stuff that inspires people that know nothing about aviation to totally get into aviation. It's like we've
you asked the question.
Like think about all the zip tie innovation that is going on.
The real issue with the plane, the wheel pant, fine, I can survive. I actually took off the other one so that it matches. And but the real problem was that when I landed, part of the bracket that holds the wheel pant on got sucked back into the wheel. And the brake line got rubbed and got very close to being a problem. It has several layers of kind of outer cladding. This is like in addition to the brake light, right? Like this is like heat tubing, not heat shrink, in the engine. The heat insulation, close enough. Is those extra layers that it went through. But it didn't touch the actual braided line, which is amazing. Yeah. So, but I had him look at it to confirm, like, this, we're okay, right? Like, this is saying, you're fine. So literally covered it with gaff tape to give it an extra protective layer, and then did the amazing zip tie trick, which is actually a form of what was already on there. But, and there's one place where the line kind of bends toward the tire, but it's got these zip tie standoffs that'll keep it away from it, and so the plane's good to go. Like,
that's awesome.
Quite the damage here. It's going to be really fun. I'm not worried about this. I'm worried about the metal bracket. That again, you think it's hard with an Italian plane? Try a German engineered plane that was built in the Ukraine. The company has gone through bankruptcy at least once. I hope they make this part.
Well, if for those that have the wide camera angle view of this table, it just looks like we're doing a Viking theme.
Yeah.
But come look at these in person.
Let's pull this back in real quick, and let's get to our audience to see if they want to.
No, they want to.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to.
So
Are we going to do the weird thing where we isolate them to this chair like it's an interrogation?
just meet them where they are. That's what we should.
Okay, we'll meet them where they are.
And remind them what we're asking them.
Whatever. Who wants to say something? We want people to say. But Luke, by the way, thank you for being like our you're sort of like the Jerry Springer of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Like you're ready. Like I want you to take over the show here. And I want you to kind of engage, like we are now the people on the stage at the Jerry Springer level, and you're like you need to get them to be either really against us or really with us.
Yeah. You said Jerry Springer. I thought you meant you want me to get them to fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would be.
And just talk deep into that mic there.
Get that mic really close.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry if I choke one of y'all. Man, this sounds like an airstrike.
Airstrike.
It's bad. No. So
That's the word less. Airstrike?
He said airstrike. Yes.
It was Radio Shack that he said.
I'll make my way over. And because I know that we have a lot of adventures, Keith. All right, Luke, thanks.
Hey, this is why I don't do podcasts. Keith from Little Rock. First of all, obviously, big shout out to Brian and Luke for picking me up. I just want to say thank you for the community. It's been a lot to me. I started I started my pilot training right around when OG Chris was putting his stuff on YouTube.
Shout out Chris Moran.
And
Chris Moran.
And then I think in one of his videos, or I have no idea, somehow I figured out that he and Brian had started a podcast, and that was right when I was still doing my initial training. And then it's just taken off from there. But what I really love is I have a great pilot community in Little Rock, but I have friends now from literally across the entire country. Ted and I can talk, like my airplane, I have a light sport, so we can geek about light sport aircraft, but I got to fly in a Cirrus today. Like that's an amazing experience for me as a midlife pilot, still VFR, still instrument training. So, and I have, collecting phone numbers and friends, and that's what's incredible. So I appreciate you guys creating a forum to make this happen for all of us.
Yeah, man.
If you're collecting phone numbers, you might want to talk to AOPA Pilot Protective Services first.
Thank you much. All right, Barb here. Hey, second time I've made one of these annual gatherings, and it's only too much. So a year back was natural. Great to see some of those faces, deepening those friendships, including our wonderful hosts and Mark. We've got the Three Musketeers, and Mark is the D'Artagnan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Amen.
So I like how this is a gamble for anyone watching.
So I'm shout out. Oh, here we go. I'm going to make a shout out to the two newest members of this community.
Yeah.
They're out of Houston, landed there. That's Jonathan Clark and Nir Zipori. And who in the world are these? How did we meet up with them? Well, it seems like we had two big lunch crowds going. Both Lano for Cooper's Barbecue, and then the rest of us, two Cirrus flight, went out Lockhart. And at Lockhart, they had one car. It was all queued up. Nobody was answering Uber. And ultimately, we had 9 people total, including these two other fine gentlemen who had dibs on the car. And simply aviation community right there, and they're midlifers too. We went ahead and collaborated to where we had round trips of using this thing. Everybody come back.
That's awesome.
But it was outstanding. So they're listening live right now after getting back to Houston.
Cool. Love that.
Thanks again, gents.
Oh, thank you, Bo.
What were their names again? Jonathan Clark and Amir Ziport.
Yeah.
Ziport.
That's so cool. By the way, if anybody wants to use a real microphone, we can flip these around.
Yeah.
And
come on, Luke.
Bo, thank you very much. You've been great.
I want to give a quick shout out.
Yeah.
This is what's awesome about this community. I get a text message about 45 minutes ago of me landing. And I gotta say, look at this. I literally am flaring like 20 feet above the ground. And so I'm thankful that this person who is we met last night, Kurt, thank you very much for sending this and embarrassing the crap out of me. with nobody else knowing about it until I mentioned it. But no, that's part of the community. That's the great part about it. So I got your pictures, and they turned out really well. A quick reminder, tonight we're going to be at Fredericksburg Brewery. So we'd love to see everybody there.
Yeah.
If you need cars, we'll find a way to shuttle you. We've got 3 or 4 amongst us that we know of, but we'll create something.
Everybody's been great for just finding a community, finding a group, and going out to eat, and just self-service on all that.
Yeah, people are like, do you have any plans? It's like, we want everybody to have fun. That is the plan.
Yep.
But there's no specific plan, but there's kind of a plan, but there's not really a plan. And everybody's been able to roll with it. Thank you guys for absolutely everything.
We do need to shout out Captain Todd still.
Oh, he'll be here any minute, right?
Yeah, I haven't checked him on the FlightAware, but he said he was going to try to get here right as probably the podcast was ending.
Yeah.
So shout out for him for waiting till he was comfortable of making the flight.
That's right.
Even though he's going to miss the part, but he'll
Also,
be here
it's kind of
tonight.
like one of those strategic things where it's like, if you're going to spend time with people that you're like, I want to see them, but
2 days is too much.
I just was being very weather responsible.
Yes.
Yes.
So we know.
So I just want to be here for 3 hours.
Yes.
No, but I think we're good. Is there anything else that we have?
Can we get a round of applause for One Dog Geek?
Yeah, One Little Geek. And for all of you being here, it's so easy for anybody to take for granted, but we do not. This is incredible that you guys are all here. It means absolutely everything, because we have no other positive things in our lives.
Hey.
So
We also have to give a shout out for One Dog Geek's plane. We were all on pins and needles that he wouldn't have another damn it moment.
That's right.
yeah.
He's my favorite pilot, and his planes are great, and he's just had bad luck at some of these previous events.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first one this plane made it to, but
No damn it's.
no damn it's. Yeah.
Yes, AJ needs a shout out. He's been very helpful with this.
And
as well.
lastly, I just want to say, like, okay, Chris Moran and I started this podcast episode 1 and been all the way through it. But let me just say, we got to episode 40. Chris had other things he needed to focus on, and I really was at an impasse about what to do about this. Do we just let it lie, or do we bring it forward? And these guys, I knew exactly who I wanted to go to and what kind of dynamic I was hoping to create, and it happened. You guys are now, how many episodes deep?
87.
But think about that. I mean,
Not that I'm counting.
that's every week. Every week we have to deal with each other, talk to each other, think about things, write down things, communicate things, press buttons, do stuff. Yeah. And that's been rock solid, consistent, weekly for well over a year. So thank you guys for elevating the whole game of this whole thing and making it so fun.
Yeah. And thanks for Ben's microphone for joining us for episode 41.
Yes.
Go back and listen to episode 40. That was classic. That was my intro.
Ben's grand entrance was just a trip fall into the orchestra pit of sound. It was wonderful. Yeah. But anyway, all right.
So I do have words of wisdom. Real pilots use the rudder. Tailwheel pilots worship it. Signing off, episode 127 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Thank you, everybody, so much.